Hi guys, so is this a bass or guitar? That's really the question. I wanted to have a little bit of fun with this video. What I did was I took my Squier Jazzmaster Baritone, which comes tuned to a standard, but it has a super long 30-inch scale length neck, so it allows you to tune really low with it. I chucked on some heavier gauge strings. I used the Ernie short scale 6-string bass string set, which comes with a 20 on the high string and goes all the way through to a 90 on the bottom. And I tuned this all the way down to double drop D flats. I think the strings just handled it, but the gauge could have maybe been a bit thicker. And obviously we're getting into bass territory, so the guitar does start sounding like a bass. But it was fun to test out. Going over some of the amp modeling and guitar processing that I used on these guitars, I used Overloud's THU for my amp modeling, and I'm using a modeled version of the PV5150. As you can see, I've pulled down the drive because with lower tunings you really don't need that much drive. So I've pulled that down and I've pulled down the bass. I've pushed up the mids and the treble and the presence. And I want this to focus more on the mids and higher areas because the bass guitar is actually going to dominate the bass frequency. Then this is going to an orange 4x12 cab using a modeled SM57 mic and it's slightly off axis. After all of this, I've added a 7-band EQ. I've shelved off some of the bass, also notched out some of the other frequencies like a little bit at 400 Hz and 800, and then I've done some boosts at 1.6 kHz and 3.2 kHz. I found that doing these little boosts like this just helped that low tune guitar sit better in the mix. And the question I asked is if it sounds like a bass or a guitar. If you take a listen to it, it does sound like a bass. But let me just play you the guitars by themselves with their processing applied. And then you add in the bass. And the two sort of blend together because they're playing in the same octave range. I haven't taken the bass and made this an octave lower than the guitars. So these are both sitting in D flat. Just the bass sounds like a bass where the guitars are processed differently to sound quite closer to a guitar with guitar processing on it. And another thing I did, in the end section over here, I've actually added in a standard tuned D flat guitar over the lower guitars, just to thicken up the sound. So you've got these guitars over here, and then these. So that's a nice thing. You can mix the two together. You can mix a very low tuned baritone with a standard tuned guitar. The standard tuned guitars will be playing chords, and the very low tuned guitars are playing single notes. And the two mixed together gives you a really thick sound. And then with the bass. And then the rest. So that gives you an idea of the processing applied to these really low-tuned guitars. Let me know what you think with this low-tuned baritone guitar, and is it still a guitar or is it now a bass? And who knows, maybe I'll try go even lower by chucking on some thicker gauges and see how low you can really go. But what I really like is that this guitar is super versatile. With a super long 30-inch scale length neck and using thicker gauge strings, you've got a multitude of tuning options at your hands. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like, plus follow my channel and click on the notification bell to get notified on future heavy tone guitar videos.